Welcome to another Tableau tutorial video. I'm Weston Palmer. If you find these videos helpful, consider supporting me through Patreon. The final visual that we're going to be working on for this capital projects activity is Project Manager Performance. And once again, offline, I did some sketching. We even tried a couple of different charts to communicate that information. And what I settled on was this chart here. I'm going to have to clean it up a bit, but you can see off to the right how a project manager is performing, what percentage of their projects are within budget, and which ones, what percentage are within the schedule allocation. And I wanted to account for those project managers that have a lot versus those that don't have very many. And so when you're looking at this chart here, the way you would look at it is the size of the bar is determined by how many projects they have. So in this case, Joe Kimball has 100% of his projects within budget, and 50% of his projects are within the schedule allocated, but he only has 2 projects versus Darren Starr, who has maybe only 46% of his projects are within budget, and 38% of his projects are within schedule allocated, and he's got a lot more projects, 13. So this is a way to gauge not only how a particular project manager is doing, but how many projects they have. You could do it the other way about how many they are outside, how many are over budget, how many are over schedule, but the length really draws people's eye, and so I wanted that to be a positive. I wanted the longer bars to be a positive indicator, and so that's why I constructed it the way I did. All right, so to get here, we had to create a couple of calculated fields, and I'm going to show you what that is. The first one is percent within budget, and it's really important that you understand your data when you're creating calculations like this. This is a nested function, as you can see. What I want to do first is I want to see how much of the budget adherence is less than or equal to 1. 1 means they're right on budget. Above 1 means they went over budget. So if it's under budget, then we're going to give it a value of 1, else we're going to give it a value of 0. And so this is going to process for every project that comes through, every record. And so we'll count up all the projects that are within budget, and then we're going to divide by the entire number of projects. Now, because I am going to be, the visual is at the project manager level, this works. If you wanted to change it up and you wanted it for project size or different types of projects, this calculation will still work. Okay. So we're going to press OK, and now we're going to do something very similar for the schedule. The schedule, however, though, if you remember some of my earlier episodes, the signs are kind of screwy, and this calculation is a little bit different. So if you have a positive number, that means you are within schedule or within the allocated days. If you're below, if you're a negative number, then you are taking too long. It may be counterintuitive. If you looked at the underlying data, you still have to figure it out. But the same type of deal, we've got a nested function. So this is only going to add up the number of projects that are within the allocated duration, and then dividing it by the number of projects total. Now let's come over here. I'm going to recreate this, or try to recreate this. And so I'm going to bring the budget within, and I'm going to bring the schedule, and you'll see there's another row, but I'm going to leave that here for now. Now, I want to get them to overlay each other, not overlay, but to give you that violin effect, I think is what it's called, or maybe the butterfly. But when I come here to say dual axis, things get screwed up, as you can see. They're overlaying each other, and I don't want that. I want them separate. The way you make it go the other direction, to the left, is you just have to make it a negative, oh dear, negative number. Now, this is the same calculation, except I now have a negative in front. Another thing you could do is you could just say percent of within schedule and put a negative, and that would work as well. So let's bring this up here. I don't know which one is which. Oh, I made the wrong choice. Okay, so now we have percent within schedule, percent within budget, going opposite directions. Now the next thing I want to look at is, this says percent within schedule plot, and it's giving me a negative number, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. How do you, negative percent of your projects are within schedule? So that's why we had that other percent within schedule. And we're going to bring that, we're going to drop that under the tooltip. So now you'll see the percent within schedule is on there. There's a lot of things we're going to need to do for formatting to clean this up, but I'm going to do that offline. I think most of you know how to do that. Now we want to change the size. So we're going to come and we're going to grab item, the project. This is like an index number. I always like to grab like a project number instead of a name, because sometimes project names could theoretically be the same, whereas project ID numbers, item numbers, should always be different. And I'm going to drop that on the size. And see, now it's calculating for each item, and that's not what I want. I want to change this to count. Count distinct. If you remember, that's our numerator for these other two calculations. And so now you can see the same type of chart. So this would be a way that you could look at managers quickly and see how they rank, and you can quickly identify also what element is more important. Is it more important to be within budget or more important to be within schedule? And depending on that, you might determine which manager you want to give the project to. Hope that helps. As always, leave comments, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when new videos are released. Check out some of these other videos I think you'll find helpful.